Hello, everybody. My name is Christopher Saunders, and this is the Connecticut Sports Talent Show, where we talk all things talents in Connecticut. And tonight's show is always a returning guest, but this time for Kingswood Oxford, a prep school, Nate Bose, who is also a football player, but currently playing baseball for the program. And Nate, I appreciate you coming back on. And real quick, stop growing up. You're growing up way too quick.
Thank you for having me again. It's always nice to be back on here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Always, man. It's always great, being able to talk with you a little bit before here, as far as just kind of the overall game of baseball is a beautiful thing. Now, before we talk as far as with baseball, I just want to go back to football for a second. How was your football season?
It was awesome to be honest with you. Yeah, it was a really got me more into the weight room, especially that was probably the biggest thing. I really started taking weightlifting seriously. I think that was probably the most important. But Coach Patori, the coach over at KO, took me in very fast, right from the preseason. I mean, I decided to go to KO pretty late in the summer, only a couple days before school started. So it was kind of like a quick transition. When I got in there, I competed for a spot at quarterback. Well, I went in there and started 3 games in, and then I had a pretty good season. But yeah, it was a great season. I liked all the kids on my team. They took me in, made me feel like I was part of the family, and it was a good season for sure.
Do you think the more of the focus to the weight room has kind of added to the baseball aspect? Because I have noticed, just again from the video and kind of remembering from past years that were posted on your social media, obviously you've gotten stronger, you've gotten bigger, you're starting to fill out. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, during football, my football lifts are definitely different than baseball lifts, just because football is more like power and explosiveness, and baseball it seems to be like it's obviously more rotational and stuff, balance stuff like that. But definitely, I can create more power in my baseball swing, way more than I could last year, and I think that was definitely a huge help for me, and a huge help from KO being able to strength and condition me, and strength and conditioning coaches over there also helped me out an extremely big amount.
Now, leading up to this, to the season, which is what you guys are at. You just came back from Florida playing down there, and we'll talk about that in a minute. As far as expectations, or maybe just for yourself, what was the big focus for you early on?
I think just obviously it's going to be a higher level of baseball, and like mainly is the mental aspect for me. Like I feel like if I could tell myself, like obviously you're going to strike out, it's a game of failure. Like that's the most important. If you fail 7 out of 10 times, then you've done something right. So I think that's probably the biggest thing for me. There's a mental thing. Like don't get on top of myself. Don't get in my own head, because the second you get in your own head, that's when everything starts to go downhill. So really, like the standard for me was just keep your head in a straight path. Don't get distracted by like little things or slumps or stuff like that. Just work on your swing and get it 1% better every day. And that's basically what I've been trying to do. Always tell myself there's room for improvement, and days that I hit well, know that I could hit better than that. And days that I don't hit well, know that I've worked hard enough to be able to get hit better.
As you kind of went through that process, right? And you talk about trying to stay positive as best as you can. If you could share, as far as maybe not like a dark moment, but was there a time where, you kind of stepped back and just were really reflecting on the fact of, okay, I'm not having a good day. Can you share that?
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest with you, basically this whole off season, like I mean, just like I said, when I was switching on my swing a little bit with Coach Burns, he like it was completely different for me, because it felt like nothing the same. And really before this, I had never done like balance exercises, all the rotational stuff, and then with like water bags and stuff like that, plyo workouts, hip mobility stuff. Like every day I was like, wow, like this doesn't feel good. Like my swing's uncomfortable, but it's like just being able for me, I kind of just was like, all right, start to feel more comfortable the more you do it. Like you're gonna get stronger by this. Your swing will eventually work out, and that now I've kind of put all the pieces together. So like I started in my most comfortable stance and just get to the points of where he's taught me to get to. And I would say, yeah, that's probably like the dark spot would be this off season. I was very uncomfortable, to be honest with you. I didn't really feel like I was in a place where I felt like I could hit, but it's worked out so far. So just doing it repetition made me feel more comfortable with it, and I guess hard work equals good results. So
It almost sounds like he kind of almost like broke you down, broke the
yeah,
clay, and then rebuilt it. I think of when you spoke about kind of almost inventing your swing again. I thought of Lucas Giolito. I know different position, but I remember Giolito when he came out when he was drafted out of high school. He had a long arm swing. I mean, it was long, right? And
yeah,
then he really didn't have a lot of success at Tommy John, and then he really didn't find his all-star form until he shortened his arm stroke, kind of like a catcher a little bit.
yeah,
Does that make a lot of sense to you?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like I never really had anybody tell me that like my swing was wrong, but like as soon as I got to KO and like I really understood like all right, every pitcher I see is going to be like 86 to whatever, 86 and up. Like I realized that my swing that I used to have, I wasn't going to be able to catch up to pitches that I
Mhm.
could when I was at public school. So it's definitely a big help for me. But yeah, that's definitely a very good comparison. I mean, the little tweaks like that, and it could completely change someone's game.
Yeah, I mean, Giolito was an all-star, and he's had very good success after that. For you now, kind of entering the preseason part and kind of getting through not just the swings but also from the catching aspect because you're catching good velocity. I mean, I
Yeah,
saw a video of a young man throwing 94. That's not
yeah,
that's not like 82. That's 94 with some cheese on it. Just
yeah.
talk about that as well.
Uh, it's awesome to be honest with you. It's like the only way to compare it's when you're going to like I was at a spring training game last night and I saw the same guy, another guy come out on the mound and he's throwing 94. So it's like it's kind of like a freak moment when you're out there and I mean, you see the ball come out of the kid's hand, and then the next second you hear it snap in your mitt. So that's cool, but it's completely different again from public school. I mean, it took me a little while to get used to, and the framing is completely different because it's kind of more like set up and get to the spot early instead of being able to react. Like I got to pick it up right out of his hand. But I mean, it's been awesome. His off speeds are good. I mean, luckily Devin's a phenomenal pitcher going to UConn, so he's able to spot it pretty well. And his pitches that I know are going to break down, I'm already prepared to block and or frame up. And then he's good. He's got a good splitter that gets low, and he's good. I mean, I don't want to give all his pitches away here, but he's good. Adam Merritt again, up to 91, so another guy that throws the ball hard, but it's been awesome. I mean, they're great guys. We worked a lot in the off season catching bullpens and helping me with framing, and I was helping them with pitching. So it's been a cool experience so far.
How cool is it as you're able to kind of see these pitchers and kind of grow with them too? Because it sounds like these guys still have a very, very high ceiling to go. You talk about the framing, aspect and being able to kind of help the pitcher out. I know potentially at the major league level, there could be robo umps where now framing could be a thing of the past, but for right now, that's a thing still. And I think it's an art. It's something that's the Molina brothers were the first ones to really do that as far as pitch framing. Do you like how serious? And I'm sure you take it very serious, but for you, is that part of your game that you really stress on, especially this year because of the velocity that you're catching?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say framing, obviously throwing down is most important. Make sure you could get guys out when they steal, but yeah, I would say it's that, and then framing, and then blocking are definitely the top three. It's extremely important. Better hitters are obviously going to hit fastballs that are right down the middle, no matter what speed it is. If it's coming at 94, eventually you're going to be able to adjust to it. So we put a lot of focus on balls low in the zone, low on the outside corner, low on the inside corner, and that's been extremely important for me. I mean, I go into the facility over at MVP and turn the machine up to basically as high as I can and get a real look at it, bring closer to me so it looks like that 94 and set it up so that I'm getting around the balls and pulling back in all in one motion on the inside corner. Same thing on the outside corner and the low pitches, kind of getting to it late and catching it as I'm coming up through the zone so it umpire could see from behind me that it looks like it's going right up. But it's definitely an art. I mean, never will I don't think I'll ever be able to perfect it. I don't think anybody will be able to perfect it, but um again, it's one of the like big advantages you have. If you're good at framing, you'll get a lot of pitches called for you. So it's a good art to know and learn, but it's tough.
Also, too, it helps if you can pick off some runners because that would make the pitchers extremely happy for you.
Yeah, that's a key. Get guys out that are already on base. They like that.
Yeah, definitely for sure, man. When I think about kind of how the game has evolved in a lot of ways, right? We talk about how velocity is the biggest thing. Everything's the rising fastball, the high velo, spin rate, with Rapsodo and such. I was talking with you about kind of your bat speed and how you're working on lengthening the swing a little bit to try to cover more of the plate because with the velocity comes pitchers trying to expand more. You want to be able you can cover that plate. How has that been going for you so far? As far as, don't share too much. I don't want to give away the cheat
Yeah.
code for the future pitchers.
Yeah, it's been good. Like I said, I've just been trying to keep my quick hands, but basically a little bit more dip and a little bit of a wider stance just so that I could um basically hit a ball that's deeper in the zone and also get a ball that's out front that my bat's out that I'm early in front of on like a hanging curveball or something like that.
Mhm.
But it's been tough. Like I said, in the beginning, it was completely different because I felt like if I had a longer bat through the zone, my hands were obviously going to be very slow and I wouldn't be able to catch up to a fastball. But I worked on my hand speed a lot over the off season, and then I kind of mixed it with the length of my swing. So it was basically it was the same speed as my other swing, but it was lengthened because I put the hand my got my hands faster. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to give away too much, but luckily so far I've been able to get my hands to the zone on the inside pitch and also drive opposite balls in the outside corner of the gap. So
As you start to kind of as your game grows, right? And I'm sure there's going to be college scouts, pro scouts kind of watching you, from afar, obviously because of your teammates. But also too, they'll be seeing, oh, who's the catcher? That's Bose. Oh, okay. What about him? And then they'll see that. Does that ever cross your mind? Like you mentioned the UConn commit, right? I don't know if there's going to be anybody from UConn or whoever watching, but I'm sure there's going to be somebody just checking in and if they're seeing a catcher who can do some things back there very well, they're going to not forget about Mr. Bose. So
yeah,
does it kind of ever cross your mind as far as the people that are watching?
yeah, absolutely. I don't want to give away too much about Devin, but yeah, I mean, he's on the phone with guys all the time, college guys and pro guys at the moment. Now that he's been up to 94 in his first game of the season, so um, it's definitely cool to experience a pro guy coming to your high school baseball games and knowing that you're going to be the kid that's catching people that they're watching, and that's obviously extremely important because I can make him look bad, or he could also make me look bad. So we kind of work with each other, and I try not to think about it too much because I don't want it to get in my head. I just want to go play like same game as I would play if there was nobody there. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a cool experience to know in the back of my head, like, all right, a pro guy is probably going to be behind me today if he's pitching. So, I mean, that's cool to think about. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Again, to go back to what I said, you said it too. You both are trying to work well with each other because one's trying to impress as far as what could happen at the next level. You still have another year plus, but I'm pretty sure, I'm sure it started before, but now this is the year. Junior year is the year to kind of pop in a lot of ways, right? Because, it's a big year for you, and I'm sure you understand that too.
Yeah, absolutely. I've done a lot of work in the off season, so I'm hoping to have a good year and good summer and then see where college takes me.
Now, as far as the rest of the season goes, for people if they want to come watch or if they just want to try to be able to find the games or anything, is there a certain way to be able to watch the games?
I'm not sure if I want to say we do live stream on YouTube. It's probably just under Kingswood Oxford Athletics, and then we play home at KO. The field's like right above the parking lot. Should have a pretty good team this year. I mean, the Founders is obviously a tough league. With Loomis, AOF, Westminster, Choate, Taft, it's all good schools, great competition. See a lot of college guys, a lot of college arms, as well as bats. So it should be a fun season for sure.
And you mentioned the parking lot. Are you going to put a couple balls in there?
Hopefully.
I also forgot to mention too, and people are probably curious about, oh, are you just catching? You're playing the outfield too. You're
Yeah.
trying, you're trying to mimic Varsho with the Blue Jays now. How has that been for you as far as playing? I would think in a lot of ways, because I remember back in the day, I think it was Joe Torre. I could be wrong. He said, if you want to help a guy who has trouble, not saying you have trouble defensively, but if there's a guy who struggles at playing second, first, third, you move him back farther
Yeah,
from baseball. You don't move him closer because then it's like, well, you're just asking for Gary Sanchez behind the plate or whoever to make 50 errors, a year. For
yeah.
you to play the outfield, do you kind of like, do you see the game differently there, especially because you're thinking, I'm sure, as a catcher playing the outfield?
Yeah, I definitely see the game differently, I feel. When I'm back there, it's more like I'm reading guys' swings, I feel like. If I could see like a pull swing, that definitely helps me in the outfield because I kind of know which way to shift a little bit. Or if I see like a guy's late on a ball, I could go the opposite way. Same thing with like dip and stuff like that. If I see guys dipping and foul two balls straight back, I'm assuming another pop-up's gonna come to me. So I see it differently like that. But yeah, I love the outfield. It's been a cool experience out there. Coach Radmanovich is a good guy. He's been helping me out there a bunch because I just took it, started playing over the summer. But yeah, I mean, I worked on my speed a little bit, so got faster so I could play the outfield. I'm not a huge framed catcher. I mean, 6 foot 185, so I'm trying to put on some weight definitely, but I could, I mean, it's cool. I like playing the outfield as much as I do that as I catch. So
It's almost like you're a coach out there, the way that you were kind of dissecting that a little bit. It's almost like maybe that's in your future after you play in college and whatnot and do your
yeah,
thing, you
yeah,
know? So, Nate, before I let you go, and I really appreciate you coming on, as far as kind of the goals that you set for yourself for this season, any that you're willing to share?
yeah. One obviously as a team, be the best team in the Founders. I mean, that's always the goal is team first. But for individual goals, I would say go all New England for baseball, all NEPSAC, and then get some all conference awards. And then individually, just be a great teammate, be a good leader on the field. I know as my first year coming in, it's a little bit tougher, but I think I've brought the intensity throughout the preseason and our spring training trip down to Florida this past week. My guys trust me and I trust them. So definitely to be a leader and on and off the field, not just on the field, academically as well. Um, and that's basically it. Just be the best person I can be on and off the field, and that'll take me somewhere in life, not just baseball.
If you, or not if you, but when you hit a home run, you better pimp that really well. I want a full on flying bat flip, like to go backwards.
All right.
Because I'm telling you, some of the bat flips I've seen in college,
I
and
know
this,
they're crazy now.
yeah, there was one bat flip, and this was like I think the first week that baseball was being played at the college level. The bat was basically thrown like 30 yards behind the batter, and I'm like, uh, okay,
Yeah,
is
I
this
know
what
with
now?
with the band props now, there's no more coats or anything, so they just do crazy bat flips. I mean,
I mean, hey, you know what? I'm all back when I was younger, which is weird. I hated the bat flip thing, but I think because I played baseball and I didn't like it when it was done to me. But now that I'm not playing, it's
yeah,
like, hey, you could launch that thing 300 yards to right field. I don't care.
yeah,
If you jack a ball as far as these dudes are doing it, enjoy it. I mean, what's the word that MLB has? Let the kids play. Let them
yeah,
play.
absolutely. Yeah,
You
I mean,
know.
I like it. So I don't know. I mean, as long as you don't hit a pop out and bat flip, then that's not good.
Well, there was a game. What was it yesterday? Tennessee and Texas A&M. I think
Yeah,
the pitcher's name was Dickey, and I think he's a freshman. I could be wrong. He hit a bomb, right? He thought
yeah.
he hit it out. It was
And the
the
wind knocked it down, and he did his
yeah,
bat flip. I saw
yeah.
that.
He still did, yeah. And the wind because it was blowing. I think 15, 20 miles per hour in. But it messed up the outfielders, and Tennessee
Yeah,
still won the game.
yeah, I saw that. Yeah, me and my dad were watching that in Florida. We were watching the exact same thing. We saw him pimp it out of the box. I was like, "This 20-mile-an-hour winds, that's not going to get out." And my dad was like, "Yeah, I don't think it's going to be out either."
Now, I will say before I let you go, Nate, and I apologize for keeping you. When you're
Yeah,
watching those games, and you just mentioned you were watching with your dad, has it come to you or your father's kind of mind yet, like, hey, let's, not saying start thinking about colleges because you got a lot of time, but you're just thinking like, hey, if you're in this situation, because when you're a freshman, you're not thinking about something 4 years down the road. But with you
yeah,
being a junior, you're only a couple years out. Let's think about what happens if you're facing a dude who throws 92 with some sneaky two seam action or anything like that at the college level. Have you talked about that with your dad yet?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, basically every game I watch, I'm trying to break it down, see what the pitchers are doing, see what the hitters are doing, how they change up their swing from a 0-0 count to a 3-2 count, how they 0-2, how their swing's different, how their stance is different. Um, I kind of try to basically do what they do because they're at the next level and they're at the level that I want to get to. So if I could mimic what they do, that my goal is to end up in their same spot. So by doing what they do, they're obviously getting the best coaching around, and their goal is to make it to the major leagues, which is my goal as well. So um, that's what's most important. I think when I'm watching the games to break stuff down from not just a hitter standpoint, but also catchers, see what the catchers are calling, see what they're thinking, see how they're set up, how they're blocking, stuff like that, what they're doing with base runners on base. Basically every game I'm trying to watch and break stuff down.
Nate, I appreciate you coming on. A lot of fun as always being able to speak with you and have an opportunity to be able to talk with you. Best of luck this season with KO, and hopefully I can get you back on sometime soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Always, I'll wrap things up here on the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. CT stands for Connecticut Talent. I'm Majority Find Them All. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and be well.